So today we're talking about how AI is impacting Google Maps for garage door companies, brought to you by Garage Door Marketers. This is a huge topic. The Google Maps is one of the primary, most important ways that garage door businesses get leads, and it's changing very quickly. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So let's get right into it. So between the decision to record this particular webinar and sending out the email saying we're going to do it, and now recording it, there's been a huge update to Google Maps. And so we're going to talk about that in a little bit of detail. We obviously don't know, I mean, it was just a couple days ago. We don't know the full kind of impact that it's going to have, but I'll introduce it. And it really just reinforces the content that I already planned on sharing with you, which was, you know, we have to sort of adjust in small ways, but really more get back to basics about what we need to do to make sure we're being successful within Google Maps. So Google's new AI just changed maps forever. And this is true. It sounds like hyperbole, but it really is a massive change. Okay? And so, the question we're looking at here is, why are some local businesses doing really well with this and others are quietly disappearing? It's not just about the traditional keyword ranking. It's about AI really now increasingly assessing your brand and your company and providing a confident recommendation to ever more specific queries from users. And so what's happening here is that the quality gap is really becoming bigger, and who AI chooses to present to their users, which is the Google searcher, it's getting more difficult. And so this really was the biggest update in a decade. I mean, it's huge. And if you didn't see it, it's a core upgrade to Ask Maps. Also some immersive navigation. And so what's happening here is that the Google Maps engine is being powered natively by Google's Gemini AI. It's the same AI, I mean, it's Google's AI. So it's the same thing that's running their Ask AI search queries. I've seen it roll out to the Google Watch. It is their AI product, and it's extremely good. And it's still my view that ultimately, in many ways, Google is going to win. They're a little bit behind in terms of the frontier labs like Anthropic or Claude and OpenAI. The actual skill of the Gemini in various ways is not quite where those other two are, but it's not far behind, and Google has distribution they cannot match. And so Google, whether they retain a monopoly as they have had in search for so long, or they're just the biggest or one of the more massive players, Google's going to be in the game for many reasons. So this is live, and it fundamentally changes how customers discover and choose local services. So it's AI in the maps, and so it's more of a conversational chatbot interface. They're asking questions in English like, who can fix my water heater today? Who's the best family dentist open on Saturday? And it's going to give the best possible match, but also personalized. So one thing that Google's been doing for a while now is there is this level of personalization which they will use to kind of give you results. And so it's been more difficult to track things for a while because your results already have been skewed by your preferences. Well, now that's getting into the maps, and it's just in my own experimentation and usage, the AI is much better at recall, it's much better at personalization, and it's really going to make it difficult from a tracking side, to track things at the levels that perhaps we've been used to. But it's AI in the maps, and it's going to change things a lot. So, like, here's some examples, and I encourage you to try this so you understand it for yourself. But try emergency plumber who accepts insurance near me, right? So in the traditional, maps query, you're going to get, if you're asking in Google search natively, you'll get 3, maybe 4 results in an ad in the map pack, and then a bunch of organic and ads and other results. If you ask in the map directly, you'll get a long list of 10 pins. Okay, well, now you're going to get a curated recommendation based on the best match. Okay, And then you'll follow up, well, which one has the best reviews, right? And so then it's going to go through the review text and give you the one that has the best sentiment in the reviews. So again, this highlights how critical reviews are. So you can see what's happening here. This is much harder to game in the sense of, like, especially a long time ago. It hasn't been this way really for a while, but in the earlier days of search engines, you really could kind of engineer things and get yourself where you want to get. Here, what's happening is the AI is just much smarter than that, and you really have to be thorough in the information you present and the reviews that you get and curate, so that the AI picks you to serve to its own customer. Okay, with the immersive navigation, there's always been 3D, but better 3D views. I haven't played with this myself too much yet. I'm just, it's brand new and I'm busy. I got other stuff to do. So the immersive navigation part I don't care as much about. But, we'll use it when driving probably. It's probably cool. This is what I've been able to find about it. But I haven't played with this a ton yet. But, just understand with AI here, and think about Tesla with self-driving cars. Like, we're headed somewhere here where AI is just very deeply embedded in all these things that we do, and it makes stuff cooler and easier to use in a lot of ways. Okay, so how does the AI actually recommend? Well, it's a live data sync, so it's going to have the information in your Google Business profile, your reviews, your photos, and your website, so it's going to know this stuff. The AI itself is very deep understanding. It's not just keyword matching and things like that, but it's a complicated machine learning sort of process. And then the final decision is this business, based on my assessment, the best match for this customer? So there's huge opportunity here to differentiate yourself, but in a lot of ways, this goes back to the basic blocking and tackling of correctly building up your business online and in general. Okay, so old versus new. As we already covered a little bit, the old map search shows the 3-pack, primarily based on proximity, basic category relevance. There's a huge geographical modifier in your favor. That's still going to be present to a large degree. However, the AI is going to have some latitude to override this. It's going to be conversational, and it's going to build in more factors like trust, review sentiment, things like that. So there's a great opportunity here, for example, if the largest incumbent in your area doesn't really provide great customer service, but you do, and the customer cares about that. Even if you're behind in the maps, in the traditional maps rankings, if a customer is looking for someone who's just known for great customer service, you're going to beat the incumbent that doesn't do a great job at that. Okay, so AI is very picky. In the traditional 3-pack, or even into the extended map pack, you've got a bunch of options to weed through. But AI is really acting like a concierge that's filtering options based on what's requested of it. And so, you have to think of AI as a concierge. That's a great word for it. And you have to make sure that what you're putting out there on your website, on your GBP, and the reviews that you gather is presenting you in the best possible light for this robotic concierge to select you for the most customers. Okay, and here's just a quote that I found, but it's true, and that's the correct way to think about this. Is your properties are an AI salesperson, and it's more than this. It's a little technical, because you also have to serve this information correctly. And so websites are going to change. I talked about that last month, but this is just more data points that the internet is changing in terms of how we as users, us as business owners, and our customers all interact. The things that we want done are still the same, but how it's happening is very rapidly changing, and we have to adapt very quickly, and much quicker than we ever have before. Okay, so let's just get some focus points here. Perfect your GBP. This has always been important. It's especially important now. You must be detailed and accurate. Don't talk about things you don't do, right? But if you do it, it should be in there. Question and answers. That can live here, that can live on your site. Make sure that your hours are accurate, right? Don't really say you're open 24 hours if you're not. AI will begin to track this and be aware. And so if you say you're open 24 hours and you don't answer your phone and you get a review that says, well, they said they were open 24 hours and they didn't answer your phone, now you got a problem, right? Okay, focus 2 is reviews that speak to AI. So this is already true. You want to have high ratings. You want to have a lot of ratings. And this is still true, but even more so now. Like, not currently, or in the past before this, you would want your customers to leave details like, hey, they did a great job fixing my water heater, right? Or my new garage door is beautiful. My new driveway is beautiful. All these things, right? But now, as you ask for reviews, you want to ask your customers to be specific about what you did. Okay? That will help the AI understand you and understand what your customers say. And engagement. You got to reply to everything. So it's a signal that you're actively managing this business. How that signal is used, who knows? But it's important to control the signals that you can, and this is one of them. Fresh photos. This is already helpful, but especially more so now, because again, AI is going to be looking for proof that you're real. They're going to be looking for proof that you're active. They're going to be looking for activity. They're going to be looking for, where are you? What are you doing? So you want to give them as much information as possible. Show your team, right? That's a huge trust factor. And it helps you because this is one thing that this is going to help solve is kind of the fake companies that come in, they poach Google business profiles. They're basically lead generation engines. There's not really a real company there, and they're very good at kind of working the system to cheat in a way. But they can't match actual local visibility. And this is one of your secret weapons where you do jobs, you post pictures, show your team. A huge deal. Got to do this stuff. And then the fourth focus is your website feeds the AI. So you already should be doing this in a lot of ways, but there is, and I talked about this last month, there is a transition that needs to happen here where websites have been really built for Google for a decade, 2 decades maybe, right? So it's been built around keywords, it's been built around, trying to service these search engines. Well, the search engines are not really the customers anymore for the websites. It's the AI agents, and this will increasingly be true. And so in addition to AI agents, you're still going to have customers visit your page, but that will probably happen less and less. We're going to get to a point where a lot of this is just AI driven. And so what you're putting out there, it should be great for the customers, but it's essential that it's great for the AI crawlers. Okay? And so you got to have service pages. That's always been true. Frequently asked questions sections are very helpful because it's going to send signals. How do people talk to maps? Is this company open 24 hours? We'll have a fact that says, yeah, we're open 24 hours. We'll answer your phone call, whatever. Right? Technical SEO is increasingly important now. Not necessarily in the way where, it was always about, it's got to be fast. It's got to be fast for Google. That's kind of important. But what's really important is your structure, and more particularly your data structure. So your schema, your, having the data about your company and your services and your people and your pricing at some point even clear to these AI crawling agents to extract, to present to their customers, right? So, website, as you sit back and think about this is all stuff you're already doing. We're now taking this to the next level because the platform's changing. We're moving from search engines to active AI agents. We have to adjust. And stay consistent. So, NAP consistency is important. I think it's going to be less important because AI is smart enough to understand what the entity is, and that, whereas Google is like, oh, we got to have this all right. Now, I think it needs to broadly be right. And you want to be you don't want to have things wrong on purpose, but I don't think we have to be crazy about this. It's important that it's correct on your website and it's correct online in most places. And from that information, you should be fine. Now, where it can cause you troubles if you have multiple locations. So if you have multiple locations, be as consistent as you can, because once there's signals that you have multiple locations, incorrect information could signal another location, if that makes sense. Make sure your website's well built, frictionless user experience, make calling, getting directions, but all easy from your website and your Google Business profile. And again, already should be doing regular Google Business profile updates and posts. Continue to do that. So a 30-day action plan if you want to make this actionable. Audit your GBP, Google Business profile. Make sure it's complete. Make sure you're not saying things you don't do. Make sure your hours are accurate. And test your own business and ask maps. Launch a campaign to get specific detailed reviews and upload a batch of fresh photos. And again, these are practices you should get in the habit of doing. Okay, and then the next 2 weeks after that, add frequently asked questions to your website, and then run a citation audit just to, especially with multiple locations, make sure you're not signaling that there are too many locations out there that maybe you aren't active at. Okay, so it's a 24/7 AI recommendation engine, but again, we're already doing this. It's already for search engines. Now it's really more about the AI agents and giving them what they want so that you are presented to potential customers. Okay, got some sources for the images, and that's it. So I hope this was helpful. Again, things are changing quickly. I strongly encourage you to pay attention, make the changes you need to, work with people who can help you, because this is the worst time to get left behind, because it's moving fast, and if you don't take the actions now, you're just going to get further and further behind. So you can't just set it and forget it anymore. You've got to be paying attention. I'm doing a video every month. I'm happy to help, but it's fun times. It's like SEO like 15 years ago. You got to be moving, you got to be on it, and it'll work. You just got to do the right thing and do the right next step. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next month.